Good night, guys. Good to see you guys. Thank you for joining us. Just gonna wait for Professor Heydan to join in. I hope you guys are well. Please, guys, send any questions as well, okay? Feel free to ask anything during this interview. Awesome. Professor Heydan.
Hey there.
Hey, yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can't.
Yes. Yes, I
Yeah,
can
can you
hear
see
you
me?
and I can see you well. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Yeah, okay, now you
Yeah.
disappeared.
Okay, man. Like, this is my first time on Instagram, so bear with
That's
me.
good. Yeah, now I can see you. So Professor Hayden, how you doing, man? So how you coping for this? First of all, thank you so much for your time. I know I think it's a really cool thing. I'm trying to I don't know you personally, no, but I heard so many good things about yourself and about your school. I have few of my students who has been trained with you over there, and I just heard good things about you. So I was really keen to connect and even to build something for the future as well. So first of all, thank you so much. And how are you doing during this time? How are you coping with this whole lockdown? It's frozen a little bit, guys. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, thank
Hayden?
you. Just
Oh, Hayden, sorry, it's frozen a little bit your camera. Let's wait just a little bit to see if it goes back to.
hello.
Hello? Can
Sorry, man. Yeah, like, wow, bad connection. Hey, yeah, thanks for inviting me on. Uh, yeah, like, strange times, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure how everyone else is getting on with it. Um, but yeah, sort of as you know, with everyone's sort of closed up shop. Um, yeah, it's been really interesting from my point of view, in that like I like to be in the gym with with my friends, students. So that's been kind of tough. Um, but yeah, we're getting by. We have a really good team of um, of students that are helping out. Um, Luna is doing a great job along with Laura for all our sort of social media and website stuff. Cam Steer with his leadership, putting up content for our website, and a bunch of other people that I can't name. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, like learning a lot as well at the same time, like sort of putting together like videos and stuff. So it's a kind of a different way to instruct, right? Like it's normally it's a face-to-face thing, and when you can't do that, it's face in front of the computer and trying to edit some stuff. So it's yeah, whilst it's not the best of circumstances, it's yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. What about you, man?
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
are you practicing? Do you change anything on your routine? Do you try to keep the same routine as before, or do you implement any new thing, or are you trying new things during this time as well? How's your approach to this period, Hayden?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. So, as far as routines go, I do have routine, um, but it's a flexible routine. So I don't like the super rigid structure. So I like to be able to sort of flow. Um, so in terms of what I've changed, uh, to be honest, I wasn't rolling a lot recently because I'm sort of recovering from a couple of surgeries, shoulder and the knee, the ACL. So yeah, so mostly now it's rehabbing at home. So I take time in the morning before my family wake up. So I get up nice and early, spend a couple of hours rehabbing then, and then as well in the morning. Sorry, in the evening. So after they go to bed, a couple of hours again. Yeah, so it's mostly what I would say intentional movement style. So it's just trying to bring awareness back to the body, because that for me, that's one of the hardest things that I've found recently, like trying to get back into the training. The mind's there, but the body is just not responding how it used to. So by incorporating some of these different sort of modalities, movement, intentional movement styles, it's sort of waking up the body and sort of, I guess, tuning it back into the mind. So when I can get back, like everything's gonna work the way I'd like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hey, are you full-time instructor?
Yeah, I am. So it's myself and Trevor, who are full-time. We have a bunch of other cool people that are helping out, taking classes, etc. But we've been full-time now for, must be going on 2 or 3 years. Yeah, so we sort of we started out in 2010, I believe, and we were both working full-time. So we were sort of dividing our time between work and Axis. So it was pretty tough early on, but we loved it. We wouldn't change it for anything. And we were just fortunate enough that it just grew, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing. And yeah, before we knew it, it was hey, like we can probably start to step back from our day-to-day job and focus more on jiu-jitsu, and that's sort of how it played out. So it took probably 6 or 7 years of I won't say grinding, but it was they were long days, and yeah, it was good times. But yeah, full time now, and like it really is a blessing. Like I mean, like, it's kind of cliche, but if I could pick any job in the world, this would be it. So, yeah, super lucky.
That's awesome. And hey, let's talk a little bit about your journey in BJJ. So when did you start BJJ? Why did you start BJJ?
Okay. So ever since I was like a little kid, from my earliest memories, I just loved moving, like running, jumping, and punching, kicking the air and stuff like that. So it wasn't really until I turned 20 that I really got into martial arts. So I sort of first got my start in Japanese jiu-jitsu. So there was a club in Christchurch, Crichton Cobbers, Fujiru Japanese jiu-jitsu. So it was more it was a fusion of like karate, judo, and aikido. So I did that for about 5 years, which was nice. It was pretty intense. What I really liked about it though was the newaza, or the groundwork. So yeah, after a couple of years, I started sort of researching myself, like looking up how to do an armbar and all these exotic moves. So I was watching the the early UFCs and some of the King of the Cages, and yeah, basically doing a lot of like self-learning. And it sort of got to the point after 5 years, I was like, hey, I love this groundwork stuff. Where can I do it? So that's sort of where it really started. So after that, I ventured into judo. So I did judo at a few different places around Christchurch, probably for another 5 years or so.
You're originally
Um,
from Christchurch, Hayden. You're originally from
yeah,
Christchurch.
yeah,
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 okay.
yeah. So, yeah. So I've been here basically my whole life. A little bit in the North Island as well, the central North Island.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah. So after sort of 5 years of another 5 years of judo, um, I sort of I tried different grappling styles as well, a little bit of wrestling, sport jiu-jitsu, quite a bit of no-gi as well. But really, my real start in Brazilian jiu-jitsu was when I went to Japan. So that was probably back in 2008, I think it was. My girlfriend, who's now my wife, she was living in Tokyo. So I had a friend up who was also living in Tokyo and asked him where I could train jiu-jitsu. And he said Axis. So went online, looked them up, sent them a message, turned up, and yeah, I was blown away. I was like, "Whoa, is this what jiu-jitsu is?" Because
Uh-huh.
I'd never seen anything like it. I'd done grappling for them probably like 7 years, but yeah, I was just in deep water. So after that first day, I fell in love with it, and I decided this is what I'm going to do, and this is where I want to do it. Yeah, and that was my start with Axis. So that was under Professor Tucker, who's based in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, like an amazing instructor. Like, yeah, I remember turning up, and he would coach the class in three languages, like seamlessly. So
Wow.
there's Portuguese, Japanese, and English. So yeah, I was like, I was sold pretty much then.
Uh-huh. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I
so
was,
did you stay with him from white to black belt?
yes, yeah. So I had no grade in BJJ because I'd never done BJJ. Um, yeah, so started out as a white belt. I spent 3 months training sort of just pretty much every day. What I would do is my wife was working at the time, so I had nothing else to do. So during the day, I'd just go train jujitsu. Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah, man, living the dream.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, so I did that for 3 months, and then after that 3 month period, I'm pretty sure I got my blue belt. Came back to New Zealand, and then I did probably another 3 or 4 yearly visits, 3 monthly, which was kind of cool. Like I was lucky enough that I was working for a friend at the time, so he didn't mind me taking 3 months out of the year to go to Japan and train and just have fun. So yeah, that's that's sort of what happened in Japan. Um, I think 2009, 2010, when I came back to New Zealand, Trevor, who was a blue belt at the time, I think I was a purple belt. He phoned me up and he was like, "Hey man, I heard you just got back into town. Do you want to hook up and do some jiu-jitsu?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Um, there was nowhere else to train, so I went over to his place, and he had this big two-story house, and had two lounges. One of the lounges was completely matted out, just padded out with mats. So we'd train there together. Sort of word got around with our friends, and they started turning up, wanting to have a play, wanting to do jiu-jitsu. And before we knew it, there were too many friends for the lounge. So what we did is we bought a whole bunch of mats, and we kitted out his garage downstairs. So yeah, wall to wall with mats. And then the friends just kept coming and coming and coming. So from there, we had to expand out. And then, yeah, 10 10 years later, we're sort of, we're in a 300 square meter mat area plus, a couple of locations in Christchurch. So it's, it's been a cool journey.
Ah, very successful, man. Well done. That's super cool. And man, how interesting is that? So you start BJJ in Japan. So how was this experience to compare? And now when you visit other academies around, I don't know, around New Zealand or have you been in other places? What's the difference of the culture there and on the process of learning and teaching? How did you feel any difference related to now what we are doing here? Or did you change anything, or do you follow the same philosophy?
Yeah, okay. I would say probably what struck me the most in Japan was the level of dedication. Like they were basically all samurai. Like if they train, they pretty much train all the time. And that's not saying that we don't have that in New Zealand, like we do. I just think that here we're a lot more sort of laid back about things. Yeah, sure, we get the hardcores that they train every day, twice a day. But I would say, yeah, definitely in Japan, they take it well. At least when I was training there a few years ago, they were pretty serious about it. Everybody was super nice. And I have to say that seems universal with jiu-jitsu. Like, I think it's very rare that you go into a gym and you don't feel welcome. It seems like the vibe is just everywhere, which is cool. So that's definitely something that we wanted to, Trev and I wanted to bring to New Zealand was the level of technique. Because they're very, very technical in Japan, because they're smaller, a little bit more petite, but very, very technical. So we wanted to try and bring that back, but we also wanted to have like the Kiwi style as well, where we're super, super laid back and just open and friendly. People can come and they can basically get what they want to get out of jiu-jitsu. If they want to train hard and compete and do this and do that, cool, that's an option. If they just want to come and have a few rolls, have a few talks and chill out, they can do that as well. So we're sort of best of both worlds, I like to think.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. We see the culture in Japan, and I remember I used to enjoy a little bit. I'm not a MMA big fan of MMA, but I used to enjoy a little bit more when it was Pride, was that thing in Japan, so it was kind of a meeting of samurais. Now I see UFC, I kind of, it's just a bunch of it's a kind of, you go to the pub type of thing. It's not my thing at all. But of course, this is my my opinion. Who am I? But I really like that. When I started jiu-jitsu, seeing those, especially because Rickson was fighting a lot in Japan, and man, Rickson in Japan, it's it's the samurai. And I really like this connection with Japan. Man, that's super cool to hear that. And Heydan, how do you set your classes based on, even one of my students sent this question to me to ask you, how do you instruct your classes? So do you, every time you change a position, you teach, maybe 2 or 3 different techniques, or do you stay in one subject for a few weeks or a month? How do you guys teach the class?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. For me, I like to keep things like really simple. So I know like everyone says fundamentals and basics, but I really do believe that. And one of the reasons, for me at least, is knowing something at a fundamental level. It gives like potentiality, right? Like you learn a hip escape, but what can come off that hip escape? There's so many different things. So that's sort of how I like to, I do my best to try and bring that into the class. So make things as generic as possible so that people can basically they can explore options and they can add their own things to it. In terms of how we cycle through the classes, it's different depending on the class. So for our basic class, we run a monthly block. So it's 2 classes a week for the fundamentals, and we keep it the same. So so for the first week, it'll be the same technique. Then we'll cycle to a different technique for the second week, and then the third week we'll go back to the first week's technique, and on the fourth the second. So that'll be a 1-month block. And how many techniques? Not many. So for the fundamentals, we might do maybe 2 techniques, if that. But they're basically the same technique, but just with a variation. So you're getting the the generic, the basic, and then a variation on top of that. For our all levels class, that varies as well. That's more of that's kind of a basic class, but normally about a month, and then we'll sort of cycle through to a new topic. I don't like to teach any more than 2 techniques in a night. Mostly, just for retention. So, how I get sort of variability, which is what keeps people interested, right? Like it's, you don't sort of, well, from experience, people don't really like to drill the same thing for an hour, even though it's probably good for them. So what we tend to do is we'll pick like a topic, we'll drill 1, perhaps 2 techniques, and then we'll set up certain situational sparrings around that. So that's where that's where most of the variability comes in, so they can sort of see the possibilities themselves. A little bit more engaging for the brain too. So that's pretty much how I like to structure the classes. So it's very simple, but I think simple works.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So Heydan, how about this? I've been asking pretty much in all the interviews about this. Did you change anything on your teaching now because of this? This wave of the leg lock. So how's your approach on the leg lock game? So are you teaching your students? In which belt do you start? Teaching your students the leg locks and the heel hooks and all that stuff, or you keep the IBJJF rules and you don't touch the subject until later on? What's your opinion about it?
Yeah. Good question. So, excuse me. I've always been of the opinion that everything should be on the table, and it's heel hooks included. But in terms of like training for safety, there needs to be communication, with your partners. Hey, are we doing heel hooks? If they say yes, then good, go for it. If they say no, then then we follow the IBJJF. So we do have that rule structure on our wall, which is our guideline. If students want to stray from that, they first need permission, not from me, but from their sparring partners. Yes, because at some point, someone's going to put a leg lock on, and if they've never experienced it, that's not super cool. In terms of teaching, I personally am not very good at leg locks, but we have a couple of students who are good, and who are happy to help out and show all this cool stuff.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. And Hayden, in your BJJ journey, you know, who are the guys, you know, and could be anybody, you know, could be your first instructor from someone famous who has inspired you to you know to keep learning because you know in this journey, how long you've been training now, Hayden? Do you remember how long you've been training?
Uh, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu started 2008, I believe. So what's that? That's for 12 years.
That's cool. So, you know, in 12 years, you know, so how many times did you feel you know, was hitting the plateau, you know, that, man, I cannot see any improvement on my game, you know, so I think we all go on through those waves, you know, and how do you manage it when you feel you're kind of, you know, before on the past or even now, if you feel you're a little bit, you know, that, oh man, I need to, you know, what can I do to, you know, to break
Mm.
that? Do you have this talk with yourself, or this never occurs to you?
Yeah, okay. So I mean, addressing the, you know, the dreaded plateau,
Uh-huh.
I would say for me personally, like I've never really experienced a plateau, so to speak, because I mean, the way that I approach jujitsu, the way I approach everything in life that I want to learn um, I always take something as far as I can, like say it's a specific guard if we're talking jiu-jitsu, might be the knee shield. So I'll progress that as far as I can until I feel like I'm approaching that plateau, right? So, you know, the point of diminishing returns. So what I'll do is then I'll switch focus. So I'll leave that and then I'll switch to something else. It might be, you know, might be back control, for example, and then I'll hammer that out. And again, until I feel like the progress is starting to slow. You know, I'm losing those beginner gains, so to speak. So what I find by always switching tasks is one, I'm accumulating new knowledge all the time, and you know, it's always what whilst you know learning is you know it can you know can be a grind. It doesn't have to be. Like in fact, I always find for myself that I learn the most when I'm having fun. Um, so yeah, constantly switching what I'm doing. I found that's helped me a lot. It's also broadened my game, no end. Um, in terms of like people that have inspired me, man, there's so many. Um, like I guess like famous people. I'll start with famous people. Um, I really like Marcelo Garcia.
Uh,
Um, like growing up, and I thought like you know like just his style and man, he was just so cool. You know, there was Tedere as well. Like I just love the way that guy moved. Jacare, you know, all the old school guys. Um, Old school for me. Oh, yeah, I'd say they were probably the main ones that really influenced me early. Um, you know, there were guys in Japan as well. JC, he was a big influence. You know, Tucker, um, and man, like even today, like you know, a lot of my students, you know, guys like Cam and like Ben Russ and Ezra, you know, all these guys, they inspire me because you know they're out there doing it and I'm doing it well. So it's like, man, I love that, you know, and I want to get back to that too. So it's yeah, like oh, look for inspiration everywhere, because it is everywhere.
Yes, yeah. Ah, that's awesome. And yeah, I always like to ask that, you know, because I think it's yeah, I mean you answer so well, you know, I think the people around us, you know, started being a massive part on our journey, you know, and we found inspiration. You know, sometimes you come to the class and you know and you know that person has been working all day long, you know, and come to the class and you look to them and you know you get that spark, you know, even if you're not a little bit 100%, you know, in free energy, but you know that person came there, you know, to you know to have that interaction with you. So that's different. It's something inspire us. So yeah, that's cool. Thank you for sharing that. And hey, another thing is also what's your favorite style of technique? So what technique has been more consistent during your entire journey in jiu-jitsu?
Oh, okay. Man, this is a tough one. Because it takes me back to that previous question. Like I've always always switching and changing, and it's I don't want to say like it's almost like a formless style, although I'd like it to be as much as possible. Um, but yeah, I mean, if I was to sort of generalize, I would say early on, I really liked anything to do with guard. So playing off my back, specifically open guard. Like I just found like the variety was just it was just super fun. A lot of De La Riva, butterfly, I like pretty much just everything, everything. But as I was sort of getting older, it was guard passing. Like I really enjoyed the challenge of trying to pass a flexible or unpassable guard, right? And gravity was kind of a new thing for me as well. So I was having fun with that, like sort of how to apply that top pressure and yeah, it's everything about jiu-jitsu. Like it's yeah. So I wouldn't say I have a favorite technique, but I would say like if I had to pick a go-to, I'm always looking for the back. And some sort of strangle. So that would be my favorite if I had to pick one.
Yeah. That's awesome. And right now you're studying any specific part on your game. What's right now? Of course, before you got the
Mm.
injury, you was drilling a specific technique, or you're just like you said was just experiments with different things.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess sort of right now and like sort of just before this whole thing. Yeah, I was for me like it wasn't technique per se that I was working. It was more like it was more trying to get that body awareness back. So it was yeah, it was more of a like a prepping the body. Because I spent probably at least 2 years off the mat due to these injuries. It was pretty rough. So I had to find other areas in which I could continue learning and growing, so that when I do get back, I can come back better. Which is whether it happens or not, I got to believe it. Um, you know. But yeah, so things, a lot of, I guess, like mental training, right? Like sort of staying in the game while not being in the game, so to speak. Um, yeah, so a lot of focus on, how I can teach others, because if I can teach others better, then I can teach myself better as well, right? And that for me, like it doesn't matter what I'm doing, but I just want to be learning. I just want to be, uh, gaining that knowledge so that I can then pass it on. Because that's the focus now. Early on, I would have to say I was obsessed with jujitsu, just training nonstop, like as much as I could all the time. Um,
Uh,
Now I would say I'm more obsessed with like being able to um, you know gather that knowledge and articulate it as well, because having knowledge but not being able to verbalize it or get it out there is yeah, like that's kind of sad. So yeah, that's the focus at the moment, and along the way, still working that rehabby stuff as well. So um, a, a lot of strengthening, you know, along the lines of body integrity, body awareness. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And do you do any other, kind of breathing exercises or anything related to that, or something related to mindfulness or meditation? Do you practice any of those things to help you in this process of your recovery as well, just to deal with the mental game?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's short answer, yes. Yes, I do. Because it's, yeah, especially because I'm not training. So if I'm not able to, you know, to work out physically on the mat, then, you know, I like to work out mentally, which
And
was,
the reason I'm asking that, it's exactly because of that, Hayden. It's such a, you see some athletes when they get injured, so they have to stay as yourself for, at least 6 months, in rehab, so you see some guys, get really depressed, and go to the bottom of the barrel, and some find ways to improve and to keep the learning and
mm,
so in which one did you follow more, or did you have a little bit of both during this period of time of your recovering?
yeah, well, I mean, that's really interesting because jujitsu, by its nature, it's, you know, it can't exclude the mind, right? Like um, just because of the variability of what we do, you know, we're continuously problem solving, you know, so the brain is always engaged, and the body is always engaged. So, um, yeah, I guess like, um, what jujitsu did for me was by bringing awareness to my body, because I was doing so much of it, and I was just so I guess, you know, keen on it,
Mm-hmm.
that it started to sort of bring awareness to other areas, right? Like, you know, my mental faculties, so to speak. Um, yeah, and then, you know, two and two together, like, you know, sort of the body and the mind, you know, like if you can, you know, if you can harmonize those things, then it's going to work a lot better for you, both on the mat and off the mat. So, yeah, like I would say jujitsu, like, you know, when I was training was kind of a like a movement meditation, like a moving practice. Um, and then, yeah, like when I found that I couldn't do so much of it, yeah, I started to move into the realms of more of like a sitting practice. So, um, pretty much achieving the same thing, but just from the other end, right? So, you know, when I'm on the mat, I'm working more of the body, with the mind following. Um, and then when I'm sitting, I guess I'm the mind with the body following. So it's, but both, you know, with that end goal of trying to, you know, trying to bring them together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think jujitsu is kind of unique in that respect, and I think a lot of us, you know, I certainly was anyway in my early days, was, you know, we're doing it without even noticing what we were doing. Because I find myself watching students now when we're training, and like everybody is that they're just present. Like there's no one who's thinking about, you know, the next bill they got to pay or what they're going to have for dinner. Like it's everybody is 100% present, focused.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing. So, um, yeah, so I wouldn't say jujitsu saved my life, but it definitely transformed my life. Yeah, for the better.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's super cool to hear. That's awesome.
Mm.
And then, Professor Hayden, what the changes you'd like to see in what are the things we could do better in Jiu-Jitsu for in New Zealand? And I think especially in this period now when we're not going to be able to to travel, even to bring people from overseas. I think it's going to be a really good opportunity for us to to connect and kind of to visit. I'd love to go one day, and visit your gym and and bring you guys as
Mm.
well here, you know, I think that's could be a really good opportunity. This is a really good opportunity for us to do that, you know. And on the top of that, what else do you think, you know, it's missing in New Zealand related to Jiu-Jitsu?
Okay, yeah. Well, I like the idea of you know what you just said of getting out to other gyms and going to meet other people and you know, learning from them because it's yeah. I really believe that the more experiences we have, then like you know the richer our lives become. So you know sometimes getting out of our pond and going to someone else's is good. So I think. Yeah, definitely. That's on the cards. Um, in terms of what I think we could do better, um, I don't really know. But I'm always thinking about it, and I'm always open to like new ideas, new experiences, and different ways of doing things. Um, I, I mean, ever since I guess I was little, I was always looking for like different ways to do things because, you know, just because I can, right? Like, uh, I don't, I don't like falling into these, you know, these habits of, you know, of the sameness all the time, and then getting really bound by these, you know, tight structures. So yeah, I like to keep things open and free. It just, yeah, for me, you know, life is just more fun, which is what it's about for me anyway. You know, experiences, having fun, sharing those experiences. Yeah, so the more ways that I can do that, that we can do that, then yeah, I think it's better for everybody. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, because I think at the end of the day, you know, the only competition we have is with the education. I think the more you know, we share and we educate ourselves and other people about what we do, you know, I think it's always going to be a really good exchange, you know, with our community. And the Jiu-Jitsu in New Zealand has been, you know, it's incredible to see, you know, a few years ago, you know, I came here was 2009 and now to see this, you know, the evolution and the level, the technical of everybody, it's just amazing. You know, now you go to competitions and you can easily point it out, you know, at least 10 guys, you know, world class level,
Mm.
you know, ready to, you know, if I'm pretty sure those guys, you know, if they have the opportunity to go overseas and compete, you know, they're gonna do very, very well. Do you follow much the competitions around, Hayden?
International or local?
Zealand, in New Zealand, local.
Uh, yeah, I mean, we have a few students who like to compete, like more than a few. Yeah, so I don't personally compete, but yeah, like man, I think it's inspiring for you know, for me anyway, watching you know, say my students compete,
Mm-hmm.
and also the ones who don't compete as well, because that you know, without them, you know, the ones who go to the competition, you know, they've got no
Yes,
one to
very
train
good
with,
point.
right? So yeah. So whether you compete or you don't compete, like it's yeah, everybody's in it together. And I think yeah, like that's one of the beautiful things about jiu-jitsu is it really is there is something for everyone. Like you know, if people want to compete, um, you know, locally and then you know have a bit of success there and then go international. Like you know, you can do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's um, yeah, I think it's amazing. I think, yeah, especially the last year, and even leading into this year, there's so many more competitions. At least within the South Island, I would say, like I think there were like at least sort of six scheduled for this year. Probably not going to happen, you know, as we know at this stage. But even
Mm-hmm.
so, that sort of that sort of points to the evolution of jiu-jitsu. You know, the fact that they can scale up these competitions, right? And people
Yeah,
go. It's,
Uh-huh.
um, yeah, it's amazing. And watching the kids compete, man, that's something else. Like, yeah, we've got, I'm not sure how many kids, probably close to 70 kids. Some of them have been with us since we first started. And, to see, these kids now going to the nationals and, pans, um, the Oceanias, it's very, very cool. Seeing their smiles on their faces and
Yeah.
that the years of work that they're putting in, it's finally paying off. Yeah, it's brilliant stuff. Really is.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing, man. That's awesome. So, hey, yeah, Professor, Heydan, yeah, we have a few more minutes. I would like to, to take the opportunity, to thank you, for your time. As I said before, that's the first time, we are connected. I heard
Yeah.
of you, quite a lot, and I have a few students who, moved to Paris Church and started train and study Jiu-Jitsu for you, and I was really keen to connect, and I would like to leave a message, for all of us now, going through this period of time. I think it's now, hopefully on the end, we are so lucky now to have, everything was done so in a really beautiful way here in New Zealand, and now we can see the end of this whole process, and hopefully we're gonna be able to get on the mats again. So
Mm.
this process, Hayden, what's your message for our community?
Oh, message. Uh, Not sure I've got a message for the community. But I mean, what I would say is don't lose heart, don't stop training. Yeah, I would say if you can, just do a little bit every day, and make it intentional too. That would be the main thing that I would like to tell people is whatever you do, do it with intent. Doesn't have to be a lot, like whether you're lifting weights or whether you're doing yoga, Pilates, any type of movement activity, walking, running, um, you know, bring some intent to it, and then yeah, keep that mind engaged, and yeah, before you know it, we'll be back training, and
That's awesome,
yeah.
my bro. That's super cool, man. I love that you was straight to the point. Yeah, thank you so much. And just leave even for for the people who are watching. So if people want to know more about your work and about your academy, so how can we find out more? The Facebook and the Instagram, the website. Please, make get this moment, make some advertising, please.
Yeah, man. Okay, like better not mess this up. So yeah, like if anyone's interested, coming to train with us, we're in Christchurch, the South Island of New Zealand. I would say go to just Google us, Axis BJJ. You'll go to our website. There'll be a phone number there. You can email us. Look us up on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. Um, Come along and train. Like, yeah, would love to see you guys, and I'd love to see you too, Vanderson.
Yes.
You're welcome anytime, buddy.
That's so awesome, my brother. Hey, then again, thank you so much for your time. We're gonna, definitely gonna invite you guys again, to talk in another time. I think it's very important for us, to keep this, this connection and keep this channel
Mhm.
open. Yeah, I love your mind. It was really you touching really good subjects in this interview. So thank you so much, my brother.
No, thank you, Vanderson. I really appreciate it. I look forward to meeting you in person one day.
Uh-huh. Yeah, me too. So, my friend, stay well and we talk soon.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye now.